Hi, my name is Chris Hinkel and I'm with Sotheby's International Realty here in beautiful Truckee. Today I wanted to talk with you about the costs associated with selling a home in Truckee. Now let's just assume that the home sells for $1.3 million, which is kind of the average price of a home in this area right now. The costs that you are going to need to pay as a seller are these. First, the real estate commission, 3% of the listing price. Yes, or selling price, 3%. You will need to pay, usually the buyer will ask you to pay the county transfer tax. In this case, that would be about $1,400 that goes to the county. They usually ask you to pay half of the title and escrow fees. Now that adds up to $2,700 in this case. Signing fees, like you might be signing out of town and need a mobile notary, or they might be coming to the office. Those signing fees are about $200. A natural hazard disclosure fee, $100. There are some other fees that you may or may not need to pay. If you've paid your property taxes, you would possibly get some of those back because they're prorated up until the day of that close of escrow. Same thing with HOA dues. If you've paid your HOA dues through the year and you're closing in June, then you get the rest of those HOA dues back to you. The same thing with snow removal contract. If you sell in February and your contract is good through May, you might get some of those dues back. It's all negotiable. You also might be asked from the buyer to pay the buyer broker commission. Now that is negotiable. It's sometimes the buyer pays it, but more often still the seller is paying that buyer broker commission. Sometimes the buyer asks you to pay for a home warranty. This is all negotiable. It's $500 or $600. You may or may not agree to pay that, just depending on the condition of the house or how strong the offer is. There's sewer clearance. You are required in this area for your property to pass sewer clearance. That means that the sewer department has to come out and do a pressure test on your property, from the clean out at your house to the clean out in the street, and that has to pass. And that test costs about $350, $400 generally. But if it needs some work, if it doesn't pass the test, then you're going to have to do the repairs, so it will pass the test before you're allowed to close escrow in the area. So there's also one other thing, the state of California withholding tax. Yeah, they like to get in there, 3 1/3%. The way that you can be exempt from the California state withholding tax of 3 1/3% is if you're selling your primary residence, which means you have to have lived there 2 out of the last 5 years. Now, if it's a second home and you haven't been living there, the state of California is going to take their 3 1/3%, and then you hopefully will see quite a bit of that back when you do your taxes next year, but that is up to you how much you would get back. So of the mandatory things that you're going to be paying when escrow closes, between all of those mandatory things, that adds up to about $43,000. So if you sell that $1.3 million house, you're going to be getting back for sure about $1,250,000 something. But then there's a lot of variables in there just depending on your particular situation. If you'd like to talk more about this, or if you'd like me to have the title company run an estimated seller's net sheet on your particular property, I'd be happy to do that, no charge. But feel free to give me a call. My name is Chris Hinkel. I'm with Sotheby's International Realty here in beautiful Truckee, and you can reach me at 530-412-2644. I look forward to hearing from you, and have a wonderful day.